this is not the video I originally planned for this week. Things happened this week and I thought I'd share them with you because, you know, my prepping is my life and sometimes what happens to me might be of interest to you all. So the week started out fine, but then Murphy's Law happened and it kept happening. And you know, I was always raised with like the rule of 3. That is, 3 people would die or 3 bad things happen. You know, 3 was that bad number, not 3 times a charm. Anyway, so for me on Monday, it was just our toilet had been acting erratically, so I had a plumber come out, and it turned out we needed a new flap and valve or some such thing, which surprised me because the toilet was only 3 years old. And that was $250, which is fine, regular home maintenance. Well, on Tuesday, I dropped off my Jeep to have them look at it because the engine had started making kind of a twittering noise, and now it was kind of a knocking noise. It was very strange. No lights were on or anything, but it definitely was making an annoying noise when at idle. So I dropped it off. And my Jeep is a 2013. It has a V8 Hemi engine, which I've taken very, very good care of. I bought the Jeep used. It probably had about 50-some thousand miles when I got it, and now it had 117,000 miles. But I really, really love that vehicle. So I waited all day, and I got the call. They said I needed a new engine. That's right, total engine failure. And it was like, how can this happen? I just had it at the dealer 3 weeks before for a maintenance check. Everything was fine. And they're saying it would probably be about $9,800, I believe it was, for a new engine to be put in. I'm going $9,800. But they had another solution, which was to put a used one in that was cheaper. The used one, I think it was about $6,600, but the engine they were putting in had already 100,000 miles on it and would only be guaranteed for 6 months. So I hang up and it's like, man, what am I gonna do, right? So I call my husband and I said, you know, can we call our good friend that knows a lot about cars? Has he any suggestions? So he suggested a place that he was very happy of, he had used before, that rebuilds engines. And they're going to rebuild my engine. The price will be $4,600, which is much better, about half of the other price. I won't have a car for 3 weeks while this happens though, and that I just hate that, not having my vehicle at my beck and call. But it's a better price and we'll go from there. So Wednesday, I had somebody come look because we have a leak, and I'll show you the leak here in a minute. Well, here you can see it. It came in the corner there, and it's rather a dirty stain. And we had another little leak in the office, and neither of them looked that bad, but I thought, you know, winter's coming on. We got snow on the roof right now. We got to get this taken care of. And so the gentleman who was highly recommended from somebody else went on my roof, came down, and said he would send a quote the next day. So on Thursday, I got the quote. And it was $880, I believe, to seal the sky, I'm saying sky window. I can't remember the name of what they're called right now. Anyway, the big window in the ceiling. And then another $150 to do flashing around the chimney. But he's saying, you know, you really might want to just wait on that because you really need a whole new roof. And I'm going, a whole new roof? This roof was just put on in 2004. It was supposed to be good for at least 25 years. I mean, what's going on? So I didn't even ask how much the new roof would cost because I want to call the original roofer and see if he agrees with this assessment. But just think of the period in 1 week. I mean, we have the measly $250, we have $4,600, so we're at, you know, a little under $5,000, and then a new roof. Even without the new roof, we would have been over $6,000 just to do the repair work. And if it was a new roof, I'm sure it's probably about $15,000 on top of that. I mean, that's just like bam, bam, bam. And what is this? 5 weeks before Christmas, 4 weeks before Christmas, whatever it is. I mean, it's a time when money gets a little tight usually because, you're buying your Christmas presents for your loved ones. So, I had watched something by Dave Ramsey some time ago where he talked about the importance of an emergency fund. And he said, if you have an emergency fund, something like car repair is not a crisis. It is an inconvenience. And I thought, that is really true. And to be honest, I do have such an emergency fund. I just hate using it because it's supposed to be for emergencies, right? If I use it, then I don't have it. And what if another emergency happens? And what am I going to do? But I'm definitely not going to put it on my credit card, okay? So what I want to talk to you about today is, we talk a lot about the importance of having certain supplies and food and water put away, but it's also very, very important to have some money put away. If you've went and spent $1,800 on freeze-dried food, but have only $50 in the bank, that's not smart. You have to be prudent. You should be putting into an emergency fund at the same time you are buying supplies. Now, to me, the easiest way to do that is if you have at work, they can have a little different withdrawal amounts. Like I have so much put in where I save up for when taxes are due, and so much put into savings, and so much put into my emergency fund savings. So anyway, that makes it easy because when I see my paycheck, right, that's been taken out, so I know what money I have to spend. But it really, really is important for everyday prepping to have that cash emergency fund. And it might not make $20-some thousand worth of emergency expenses, but for most of you it's going to be something happening with your car, or maybe you have money left over after you or someone in your family has been in the hospital. You have a deductible to pay. And I mean, we had that earlier too, right? My husband had his hip done, and I don't know, it was probably about $4,000 left over. That was what we had to pay. So these things keep on happening. And it is not wise to keep putting that on a credit card to pay for expenses. Now, to be honest, my car engine right now, I needed $2,500 down payment, and I did put that on my Amazon credit card because then I'll get points, and with those points, I can buy more Christmas gifts. But the next week, I'm going to pay that $2,500 for my emergency fund. So, because to me, oh man, if you get in credit card debt, it can be really, really hard to get out of. That compounding interest just gets crazy. And my beloved Jeep, my 2013 Jeep that I bought used, I paid cash for it. That's why I was raised. You save up for what you want to buy, and then you give them the money. And all three of my kids have done that with their first cars, and yeah, their first cars didn't look too hot, right? But that way they didn't have ongoing debt. And that makes a world of difference in your life. And the thing is that instead of making car payments, they learn to put what they would have made for a car payment in the bank, so when they need another car, they have the money already saved up. So I try to do that same type of thing, and really where a lot of this money is coming from for the car will be from what I've been saving up when I'm going to need a new car. So now, I didn't say that this rebuilt engine, it does come with a 5-year guarantee or 100,000 miles. So that's so much better than the 6-month guarantee or warranty of the other used engine. But that just shows you in 1 week's time what can happen. And if you don't have an emergency fund, it can just be this heavy, heavy cloud over you. And it can ruin the holidays in this case. Now, if you're younger, you got to start smaller and you just put a little bit away. But I even taught my kids when they would get their first communion money, their confirmation money, birthday money, Christmas money, whatever. They had bank accounts set up right when they were born, and the majority of that money went in that bank account. So often that was what they bought their first car with. And they learned the habits that saving is important. So I hope all of you out there are saving for an emergency fund. And I know some of you can't. You're in dire straits, and you may be unemployed or limited employment and not able to have that emergency fund. But if you are in a position where you can, don't buy that new gun or some other shiny prepper item or quote toy until you have money put away. If you've got the money put away, then great, go out and buy what you want. But make sure you have an adequate emergency fund. Now they say it should be between 2 to 6 months, and if you're of your expenses that are necessary, and by that I mean food, rent or mortgage payments, that type of thing. And if you're self-employed or in an industry that is very chancy, then they say you should have 9 months of those type of living expenses set aside. Now, other people say aim for $10,000. If you have $10,000 set aside, it will get you through most things. And it will, as long as you don't have in, a couple month period, your car, your roof, your medical bills, etc., all at once. But still, it's better to have some to pay towards it than none. Anyway, so I really, really hope you have emergency funds, and now I'm going to have to work on putting money back in that emergency fund, which will be a little bit more difficult right now, but we will do it because I know the importance of that. So, I'm going to put a poll here, if you could click on it. How many of you have an emergency fund? And it's going to ask you a couple other questions. I just am curious where you're at in this. I was reading an article in Forbes that only 40% of Americans could pay immediately a bill if it was $400 or less. That's money cash they have for any emergencies. $400. So here it's recommending $10,000. Doesn't sound like most of us are putting that away. Anyway, love it if you could take that poll. If not, comment below. I'd like to hear where you're at. And as always, thank you so, so much for watching my videos, being part of my community. I learned so much from you, and I hope you learned from me. This is Potpourri saying please subscribe and share the knowledge. Thumbs up if you like this video.